The lady is not picking up the microphone.
It is so cool. Like this all day. Wait a minute.
Oh, you got people live. Very happy to have that. Very nice. Very nice.
Hey, Fireball.
Hey, Fireball. Hey.
3J6. 3J6.
Oh, let me see that critter. This is Lauren. She's responsible for all this today. And hi, doll.
Little babies for Trump.
Patriot.
Babies for Trump.
Oh my goodness,
Look
look
at
at
that
that.
little onesie. Yeah, he's representing.
How old?
He's almost 10 months.
Oh my
Almost.
Man, I just had a brand new one last night, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Like he had a lot of work. He's a grandfather again.
Oh, okay. Woo.
Yeah. Hey, what size shirt you wear?
Small, medium.
Small, medium.
Medium.
I'm gonna give you a 1776 shirt.
You're what?
I'm gonna give you a shirt.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah.
Aw.
So we
I
have
tell you,
red,
kudos for what you do.
red, blue, and
Yeah,
gray.
thank you.
And look at this little thing.
Especially bringing these guys up.
I know it. I know it. We got a whole little
We'll go
army
pick
here.
out.
Yeah.
We'll pick out one.
His name, given up the name of the sons of God to be
All right, let's go get our chairs.
Where are you at?
Oh, you got a chair?
Where's your chair?
He got it.
Oh, good. I didn't see him that way. Red, blue, gray. Might be white, but the white's tank top.
You have a tank top too?
Yeah, we do have tank tops. I don't know how many small.
Green, white, and this color.
But you have to look at the sizes, Joe. Some of them are all large.
Yeah, this large.
She'll need a medium or a small.
That's large. Extra large.
Yeah, most of the smaller.
How did you guys do today? Did you do okay?
Well, we didn't do financially. We weren't here doing finance. We mostly giving away Constitution. I think I gave, maybe I didn't.
Well, did you do good?
Yeah,
for
we
that?
met a lot of great people.
That's
Yeah, you
large.
did. Okay.
What size did you
What
get?
size did you give her, Joe? What size?
Medium?
He gave me a large.
Okay.
I thought that's what you said.
Medium or small, but
Oh.
that I think that'll, does it? If you want smaller.
This is fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yay! This is a girl shirt, right?
Well, no, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
the guys and the
good.
girls are the same. I mean, if he wants a tank top, we have
Sure
them.
that a medium's
Take
good
that.
for you?
That's
This is large.
Oh, yeah, I might need a large then.
Yeah.
yeah, I think probably.
So you said you met a lot of good people?
Yes. Shared a lot of the, you know, the Convoy of Honor and the J6, and so yes, it was very good. And your convoy, I got you really coming out really well. The bad part was our car overheated. We were the tail and we had to quit.
Do you know how many people, did you get a count by any chance?
I counted 20 and then, so I'll have, because I got out in the street and was trying to block everybody while everybody was going out. People were still like, no,
Thank you very much, sir.
But everybody was
that
good.
one might work.
But we had quite a few. I'll count.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to know how many we had. That'd be
Okay.
awesome.
Check and see if it'll
Yeah.
work. Yeah? Okay, that'll work.
Is that a large?
Medium. Oh, that's a medium?
I would get a large. I would. Unless you like them tight.
Well, sometimes.
Like this looks good.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
even know what this is. I thought this was a
Oh,
medium.
yeah, let me see. You
I just grabbed it from work.
I can't see that far away. I have to get close. It's a large.
Then yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just grabbed it from work. I needed another Navy
Is
shirt.
that a large?
No, extra. Extra.
Not a pink. I don't think he wants hot
I
pink.
got left is in the girl stuff. Let me check these.
Oh yeah, you should have some blue. Land of the free, that's right. Yes, it has been great.
Okay. Oh, this is my favorite.
Awesome.
Really, yeah, he wears that color a lot.
I like blue.
Good, yeah.
All right.
And if you guys check it out, right here's our website. It doesn't cost anything. It's kind of more just Patriot chats.
Okay.
And then get on there, sign up. All you need is an email so he can text you back and say you're a member. You'll hear from Steve. But all that does is so we can chat. So you can meet all the Patriots.
There's some stickers and some pins.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, man.
So these on the cars.
Oh yeah. Now we have a magnetic one. Is that a magnetic?
No,
that's a
You want
sticker.
magnetic?
No. I will
sure?
lose a magnet.
Huh?
Well, I can throw it on the fridge if you
Hey.
want. Okay.
Only reason is that you can take them off when you wash, and sometimes if you go on base, they may take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you put a sticker on there. They won't make you take stickers off.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's a smart idea.
That's what we learned. We don't put any magnets on our cars because they'll make you remove them. But if it's a sticker, nobody makes you remove stickers.
That's good. See,
Oh, well,
that's good. We
thanks
really
for that,
appreciate what you did.
Oh, thank you. So, write your father's name.
Hey, I know you.
I'll join you.
You know, we were watching that last Trump rally, everybody. Did y'all watch it?
He
In
didn't want to go
Montana?
to the, I mean, he looked at it.
They had so many young people there. Young people. Kids, elementary, high school.
Okay.
Really a great rally.
I'm not going to work the Navy, but they wanted you to wait 6 months. Army was like, we're taking you in 2 weeks. I went, tried to join the Marines first. Yeah. And it was
To do, you know, where we might have to go, but for the sake of his will, we have to be willing to go wherever. Because, he knows what we need, and, you know, that's it.
Army's like, oh, whatever.
We got any news?
Jay's the superstar. Hey, if any of you watched the convoy coming out, you noticed how many cars? The car overheated right after that. We got on the back of the convoy and we had to back out.
Supersede it, and we give a higher supervisor to get it approved.
You have 1 minute remaining.
It's superior, and then the news station was like, all right, well, that's all the time we have for you today. We'll try to get you back on. You're talking about important things that the voters want to hear. And, so I thought that was kind of
Thank you. I like that.
And then,
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I don't know, I
If we hadn't met before.
you got me figuring it out for Dominic, even for a game football here.
Land of the free.
They're showing this.
I don't know if that's confirmed or not.
Yeah, they're showing
It's really now a beautiful evening. We got a few things here. People even lounging in the lawn. Cool evening. Really a nice place. You guys did a good job securing this.
Well, sorry, Greta. I know, I did. Yeah, so I really appreciate the message the boys brought to us tonight. It was much needed and something for thought. So let's do our last song. That goes on about tonight.
You know what I believe is the patriotic the reason being how much people are hurting.
That's why you can't do the dumbest stuff ever. Like, I'm getting sweet freedom, but I'm gonna put it in a couple.
Lucky Storm.
I don't know. I don't have my phone. You have to go. You have to put the.
Everything that's going on in the Okay, there's more going to happen now. We'll have to kind of see more until we get back up on the live feeder. This lone lady is from Britain. That is, but it's near here.
0444. You can note that I once attended Rock Point. Yeah, I have been, thanks for reminding me, I've been meaning for a long time.
Well, we have to do it. We got there, huh? Up high?
Straight
Oh,
up.
on the car.
Right there on the pole. On the pole behind you.
Oh, behind, pointing down there.
Straight up.
Oh, there it is. Was it there?
Yeah. Right there. All day.
I'll have it.
Go!
Good.
Hey, Will, did you see my dad? Huh?
Flying on the pole.
He was,
Behind you.
might be down at the Portagon.
Oh, okay.
There they go. I can get it up high enough. There she flies. It's so good to see our flag fly.
Sandy and I gotta communicate with you, but I give up. I loaned him a tripod for a thing that his wife was doing at her Christmas. It took 3 weeks to get it back. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
I like the title.
Was a reckless threat. Ugly scenes as pro-Palestinian protesters and their opponents engage in violent clashes.
We only have one opportunity to reset this democracy after Trump.
Then Joe Biden threw our country and the world into chaos.
We are in a better place now. He is old, he is weak, he knows he has to have the Hamas wing of the Democratic Party to be reelected.
The chaotic and deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan stunned Americans and the world and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers.
The premise of Biden-Trump foreign policy could not be more different.
Out of the Middle East, breaking news. We're learning that 3 U.S. service members have been killed.
You now see the nightmare scenario, the terrorist group that has sophisticated weaponry, suicide drones, ballistic missiles, and they're going after U.S. Navy ships on a daily basis.
It is one of the darkest moments of the Biden presidency to date.
We're waking up this morning to devastation in Minneapolis. Buildings up in flames.
Oh boy. Oh my goodness. This is getting serious.
We clearly have two standards of justice in this country. One standard for BLM or Antifa, roam the streets of this country, burning down cities, creating chaos and violence. No legal retribution.
This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
Violent crime is on the rise in the U.S. Violent crimes have become more common over the past 4 years.
Think I'm kidding. Ain't seen nothing yet.
Compare how great America was with the way it is today. Today it's not doing too good.
Generally, people don't seem to be thrilled with Bidenomics. Yeah, they certainly don't. Look at that, 49% bad.
4 years' time, we went from a secure border to no border.
1.1 million fentanyl pills in 4 days.
We went from safe streets to record crime.
More than 2/3 use negative words and phrases. Downhill, wrong track, disaster, hard times.
We went from $2 gas to $4 gas.
We're in the longest sustained period of wrong track number that high in the history of our country.
We went from stable prices to record inflation.
73% said that things are just going badly in America right now.
We went from a guy who projected strength and confidence in the Oval Office to Joe Biden.
Over $1,300,000,000,000
$159,000 billion less.
100% without a doubt, Biden policies are just like the American dream.
The situation at the border, you're saying, is not a disaster.
That is correct.
It was unprovoked, but this is what Russian President Vladimir Putin unleashed on Ukraine as the sun came up this morning.
What has Joe Biden done? Allowed 2 wars to start on his watch in the Ukraine and in Israel.
Israel has declared it is at war after a deadly surprise attack by Hamas this morning.
Joe Biden is the master of disaster. Everything has gone wrong.
The American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families.
Folks, Bidenomics is just another way of saying the American dream.
Well, they see when they look at him, that's not the American dream. That's not Ronald Reagan coming down from Air Force One. That's a man that can't come out of Air Force One. He has to use the children's stairs. And he has a hard time going down those stairs. Look, this is not what our country's supposed to be about.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was put him.
He can't put 2 sentences together. He can't find the stairs off a stage when he makes a speech.
What's going on here?
Our country needs better than this. We can't have this. Bad things can happen.
2024 is the most consequential election of our lifetime. 2 presidents with 4-year records that could not be more different, squaring off for the future of our country. This was made perfectly clear by Joe Biden's catastrophic debate performance.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban. The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of this sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
I'm David Bossie. Join me as we look at the enormous stakes of this historic campaign and what it will mean for the future of not only America, but the world.
So we had the greatest economy ever, probably in the history of the world, let alone the history of the United States. And when you look at any aspect of it, African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, men, people with degrees, people without degrees.
Well, Mr. Trump's a growth guy, and he wants to see America as the strongest, most competitive economy in the world.
Unemployment, all-time historic lows. Black unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, Asian unemployment, women unemployment. These are records that are being set on a weekly basis.
We had the best numbers. There wasn't one category at all where we weren't the #1 in recorded history. And we had a safe border, and we had a rebuilt military. We had no inflation. We had absolutely no inflation. Everything was really rocking and good.
Well, guys, the president is presiding over one of the best economies that we have had.
The economy is just sort of on fire. You know, what we see in Joe Biden is a nation that really abandoned the momentum that we were on under President Trump. If we kept the Trump policies going, then we would have lower costs. Our jobs would be better. Our businesses would be growing. Happy would be returning to our country.
One badass president.
Look at that. Looks pretty cool. Look. I think they're celebrating.
And not only did that help move immigration to a fully funded level,
Movie night now. What a day. Hey, Lynn, I mean, I can really put this closer.
When President Trump came in, it was really simple.
Y'all want to watch it?
Close the border, take out Al-Qaeda senior leadership, wipe out the emirs of ISIS, bring home American hostages, end the forever wars, and make sure we take on the drug cartels for smuggling and narco trafficking south of the border.
When Joe Biden came into office, he inherited success. All Biden had to do was do nothing, just not screw it up.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Joe Biden has been a force of destruction on the American economy. Prices are up, interest rates are up, wages have remained flat. So say what you will about the Bidenomics lies, the mumbo-jumbo coming from the White House press conference room, forget about it. Americans at home understand the pain that they're experiencing, and they're not going to stand for it.
I don't know what Biden's for. All I know is he wants to repeal everything Trump did, and in so doing, has damaged this country,
Right there,
damaged the economy, damaged the lives of middle-income working folks, damaged American prestige
Jay, say hi to MGB.
and of course, the catastrophe.
Hey.
65 or 75 executive orders changing everything Trump did at the border. Imagine how stupid that is.
So we have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
We have jails and prisons all over the world emptied out into our country. We have mental institutions and insane asylums, being a mental institution on steroids. Silence of the Lambs, you saw Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter. They're in our country now.
A woman was attacked and sexually assaulted Venezuelan migrant.
An undocumented immigrant is being held in the St. Lucie County Jail.
An Haitian migrant now sits in jail accused of murder. A migrant charged with aggravated rape of a child is being held without bail. An 18-year-old undocumented migrant from El Salvador has been arrested murdering a man and dismembering his body.
They took their criminals and they dumped them into the United States, including the gangs, the rough gangs from Caracas and various places in Venezuela.
When you look at the murderers, the child rapists that Joe Biden keeps releasing into this country who keep committing crimes.
The fifth suspect arrested and charged in connection to the death of a 2-year-old boy is in the country illegally.
Just the other day, what happened? This young police officer in Queens was killed. Okay? And it turns out he's been busted 25 times and let out of jail.
Officer Jonathan Diller's wife will now have to raise a 1-year-old without a dad.
The wife invites Mr. Trump to come to the funeral.
Mourners stood in the pouring rain as Officer Jonathan Diller's closest colleague filed into the funeral home first, and inside was former President Donald Trump.
That's the kind of guy he is. On the other hand, we had in New York City, in Manhattan, this big fundraiser for $25 million, all the fancy pants, at Radio City Music Hall.
Gridlock in Midtown and several streets closed to traffic as, wait for it, Presidents Biden, Obama, and Clinton, 3 presidents, attend the political fundraiser at Radio City Music Hall.
And never talked about this cop. Never offered public condolences. Never called the wife. If there's a better contrast between Mr. Trump, who truly cares about working folks, and Biden and his crowd that do not care, that was it. That was it.
It's inconceivable that anybody could have allowed this to happen. I think we have 15 million people already, and we could have 20 million people by the time. That's bigger than almost any state in the union.
Joe Biden came in office and unsecured the border on purpose. This isn't mismanagement. This isn't incompetence. This is by design.
He has caused this crisis. It has been intentional.
He has systematically, day one and throughout, both chosen individuals, Mayorkas being front and center, but also overturning the careful, developed policies that President Trump had put in place.
Let me say at the outset that our job would be a lot easier if the broken immigration system was...
No, Mr. Secretary, I want a number. How many people have you let into this country?
You don't know. Does anybody know? None of you know.
Right now we have the cartels controlling our border. We have human smuggling going on, child sex trafficking going on, and we have a weapon of mass destruction pouring across our border every day called fentanyl.
There are now over 100,000 American citizens dying a year from fentanyl or opioid overdoses.
Biden could solve this tomorrow. How would he solve it tomorrow? Reverse those three decisions. Build the damn wall, end catch and release, reinstate, remain in Mexico. Biden won't do any of that.
Joe Biden is really more of a masthead for a far darker and far more insidious level of Democrat operatives. They program Joe Biden, they allow him to wander around the Rose Garden like a dementia ward escapee.
Asylum officers and over 100 cutting-edge inspection machines to help detect and stop fentanyl coming outside our southwest border.
It's not a coincidence that we have an historic number of people dying from fentanyl. At the same time, have historic immigration. It's just a simple math.
Think of it. They're killing 300,000 because that's the real number caused by fentanyl. And China's sending it in, and China would have made a deal with me. We were ready to make a deal with China where the makers of fentanyl that send it over here get the death penalty, and that would have stopped.
I get asked all the time, what was the most effective Trump policy that moved illegal immigration to a 45-year-old? It decreased to 83 to 90%. Well, hesitation to remain in Mexico. Remain in Mexico is a game changer.
Federal officials have suspended the Remain in Mexico policy.
This is the end of a Trump-era policy that requires asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their U.S. immigration court proceedings.
On day one, he said, "I'm not going to build the wall anymore. We're going to get rid of the Remain in Mexico policy where you have to wait while we evaluate your asylum claim. And once you get here, you will be released. You will not be detained." Well, Shazam, who's not going to come, right?
Joe Biden's reckless open border policies were enacted purposefully and are causing a national security crisis the American people will be dealing with for decades.
Intelligence reports show that terrorists may use the U.S.-Mexico border for potential attacks.
When we left Afghanistan, don't forget that we emptied a prison there. When we walked away from Bagram, there was a prison there with 7,000 hardened ISIS fighters in it. They were released, and who knows where they went.
They're scoping out our critical infrastructure, our dams, our grids, our nuclear sites, all because of our open border. This is the most serious national security concern we've had in a generation.
It's game on. Just the other day, they stopped a member of a terrorist organization at the southern border who said, "I'm a member of a foreign terrorist organization and I want to blow up an American city."
We have, I believe, a greater risk of a major terrorist attack today than we have had any time in our nation's history, certainly since 9/11. We've got a war in the Middle East caused in significant part by Joe Biden's weakness and appeasement. We have Iran calling for global jihad against the United States. We have Hamas calling for global jihad against the United States. We have Joe Biden with an open border, a red carpet invitation. If you're a terrorist, come murder Americans here today. It is reckless, it is stupid, it is dangerous.
Is the United States safer from foreign terror threats today? Are we safer than when Joe Biden took office, from the day he took office?
No, we are not safer. Definitely not safer. Yeah.
What I would say to you is that the terror threats have elevated.
Jimmy Carter looks like a rock star now next to this guy. He is the worst president we've ever had.
From day one, Biden made Americans less safe as he rescinded Trump's successful border policies to appease the radical left. And during his first year in office, Biden's overseas catastrophes were just beginning.
The chaotic and deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan stunned Americans and the world and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers. Now a damning new report blames the Biden administration for being slow to evacuate U.S. citizens and Afghan allies.
What impact has Joe Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal had on our national security and how the world views America?
Afghanistan was a disaster for many reasons. People were killed, our soldiers, our beautiful soldiers were killed, 13. They were horribly wounded that nobody ever talks about. We lost $85 billion worth of equipment. Think of it, $85 billion, but it was also a horrible symbol of incompetence.
President Biden's decision to pull the U.S. out of Afghanistan led to the collapse of its government and military, the death of 13 Americans, and left tens of thousands of Afghans hoping to escape. Girls over 12 can no longer be educated. It is one of the darkest moments of the Biden presidency to date.
My teenage daughter would have planned a better exit than Joe Biden did. He ignored all of his generals who advised him to do it differently. He tried to make some kind of political statement by doing it on the anniversary of 9/11, which was a slap in the face to all of those 9/11 victims and families. It was just an absolute botched withdrawal.
And there was no way we were ever going to unite Ukraine. I mean, Iraq, Afghanistan.
So no one told your military advisor did not tell you, no, we should just keep 2,500 troops. It's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that.
No one said that to me, and I can recall.
I recommended that we maintain 2,500 troops in Afghanistan.
But the Afghanistan move had a huge impact in terms of our lack of importance in the world. Because when Putin saw how incompetent we were, he said, wow, I'm now going to go into Ukraine.
It was unprovoked, but this is what Russian President Vladimir Putin unleashed on Ukraine as the sun came up this morning.
It was a massive deterrence failure from the Biden team. What has Putin done? Putin invaded Georgia under President Bush. Putin invaded Crimea, invaded Ukraine under President Obama. He stopped, didn't do any invasions under President Trump, and then he invaded again under President Biden. So what did President Trump get right that the last four presidents did not get right as it relates to Putin?
Russia did not invade Ukraine under President Trump for two reasons. One was respect. He understood Trump. He understood that President Trump meant what he was going to say. And there was also a fear factor. And the fear factor is, I'm not too sure what they're going to do.
So Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine, and we used to talk about it, and it was the apple of his eye, still is, obviously, beyond belief, right? But he wouldn't have done it, number one, because of me, because he didn't really know where I was coming from. But he wouldn't have done it for another reason, oil prices. At $40 a barrel, he wouldn't have been able to afford it. At $100 a barrel, which it went up to, he made a lot of money with this war. He's one of the few people ever to make money by going to war. And a lot of people said he doesn't want all of Ukraine. I think he does want all of Ukraine. And Biden has allowed him to take it.
We're dealing with it for a whole second. Inflation is a worldwide problem right now. Because of a war in Iraq and the impact on oil, what Russia's doing, the war in Ukraine.
President Biden's end game is an unknown. For as long as it takes, as much as it takes, is a bumper sticker. It's not a strategy.
In the Trump administration, we had significant sanctions on a pipeline called Nord Stream 2. President Trump saying it is not good for Germany and for other NATO and European allies to be dependent on Russia for their energy supply. You can't call them such a grave threat on one hand and then on the other hand be entirely dependent on them for your population's energy needs.
The Trump administration cut off the Nord Stream pipeline. It was the Bidens that put it back together. And they went into Ukraine. I mean, it was Trump brought the oil prices down on average to $40 or $50 a barrel. Russia doesn't fight wars when oil is at $40 or $50 a barrel. Russia fights wars when oil is $80, $90, $100, $120 a barrel. That's their cash crop.
We were energy independent. Now we're importing and strengthening Russia and our enemies.
As war erupted around the world, Joe Biden spent trillions of U.S. tax dollars on the radical left's Green New Deal wish list, helping set the stage for the worst inflation in 40 years. Gas prices went through the roof, and Biden's Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm thought it was one big joke.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
That is hilarious.
Inflation was caused almost exclusively by energy. When he ended my energy policies, and then he started them again because it was so bad. The numbers were so high, so he started letting them drill a little bit. But what I would do is I would immediately start getting energy down, and we can do it very quickly, very easily, just like I did before.
And I think that's what's always been powerful about his approach to energy, is that he doesn't pick winners and losers. He just puts America first. And because he's a businessman, he's extremely impactful in how he makes his decisions, understanding how business works, how our economy works.
We're going to get energy costs down 50% within a period of a year. That's going to bring inflation almost to a halt. And then we want to start bringing prices down, because we've gone up, I think we've gone up 50% over the last 2.5 years, 50%. You know, you read where it's 28%, I think it's 50. They have the cost of food, the cost of rent, the cost of a lot of good things that frankly are very high. I think it's a much higher number than what they're saying. What they're saying is astronomical. It's the biggest ever. But I think it's almost double that number.
New data shows Americans are digging themselves deeper into credit card debt, which is now hitting an all-time high.
For the first time ever, the total credit card debt across the U.S. has topped $1 trillion. That's a $154 billion spike from this time last year, and the largest increase in more than 2 decades.
The public believes that former President Trump was better for the economy than the current president.
Well, I think
that most of the price increases we've seen were expected, and they're expected to be temporary.
Are you worse off financially since the president took office? This is in the Washington Post ABC poll. That's the highest number they've been polling for 37 years.
Trump handed him an economy on a silver platter. Okay, the consumer price index has gone up about 18.5% under Mr. Biden. And things like food, groceries up 25%. Energy-related electricity up 35%. You can go down a list of items. Once you let the inflation genie out of the bottle, it's virtually impossible to put it back in. Then he's spending.
If you cut spending, you squeeze the inflation out. He doesn't want to do that. He would rather go on TV and complain about how they shrank a package of cookies.
You know, when buying snacks for the game, you might have noticed one thing. Sports drinks bottles are smaller. Bag of chips has fewer chips. They're still charging you just as much.
No, fool. The food companies can't even afford the material to make their product. And they can't raise prices because they'll lose customers.
The difference between the two is that Trump understands the economy. He understands America. He understands the free market. He was the last president in modern times who spoke largely, probably since Ronald Reagan, about building a bigger, better middle class.
You know, right now we're struggling. We get to the grocery store and it's almost a violent offense to have to pay the bill at the grocery store. But we have to worry about our safety walking into the grocery store. Our streets aren't safe.
Just like embracing sanctuary cities for illegal immigrants, left-wing Democrats also fanned the flames of the radical defund the police movement. The result turned our cities into death traps. Violent crime, carjackings, and smash and grabs are now a way of life in cities across America.
The divide in America today is normal versus crazy. And it's true. And you can look at the Democrat Party controlled by the left, all the crazy positions they have. It is crazy to defund the police.
Are you for defunding the police? How are you defining defund the police?
The defund police movement that occurred in this country from day one is going to have a negative impact on police morale. It's going to have a negative impact on the crime rate because there's going to be less consequence because there's less police officers doing the job.
Just watching news any night, you see the smash and grab, you see the just going into retailers, you see stores leaving communities.
They say they don't expect the city to apply the full force of the law in every single case of vandalism or shoplifting, but these business owners say far too often the city's attorney's office just does nothing.
In Joe Biden's America, you have crime on the rise, especially in these blue cities. And it's obviously
contemporary with these Soros-backed and funded prosecutors.
Reports show the billionaire has helped the campaigns of at least 75 district attorneys throughout the United States. These DAs represent 72 million citizens, or more than 1 in 5 Americans. Soros has spent more than $40 million in direct spending over the past decade.
Well, I think George Soros is basically like the invisible hand that helped to sow the chaos. Probably over a decade ago, he started funding these district attorney races. His idea was that if he could get to these prosecutors and he could convince these prosecutors to basically be soft on criminals, then they knew that the recidivism of bringing the criminals back again and again and again on the street would only sow further chaos.
More than 2/3 of criminal cases that end up in the U.S. Attorney's Office are never prosecuted. More than 2/3, and the people arrested just go free.
These people are not stupid. If in fact they can snatch your Rolex off of your wrist today and just go through a revolving door and be back on the street, they're going to take your neighbor's TV out of his house the next day. Because guess what? They'll get right back out again.
Chaos is the common theme of the Biden presidency, both in the streets of America and for our allies around the world. This would become crystal clear a few minutes before 7 a.m. on October 7th, 2023.
Good morning. We are coming on the air with breaking news. Israel has declared it is at war after a sudden, unprecedented, and deadly surprise attack by Hamas this morning. Hamas terrorists went door to door, slaughtering anyone they could find, including babies and children.
They couldn't have screwed up the Middle East more if they tried. It's almost like they intentionally tried to set the Middle East on fire.
Joe Biden is singularly responsible for October 7th, the attack on Israel, because he allowed Iran to get rich very quickly. He allowed those companies and those countries that weren't allowed to buy, he allowed them to start buying immediately. And we had a safe world. I'll tell you what, we had a safe world. Now we have a very, very dangerous world. We have a world where we could actually end up in World War III.
Never again. It was a phrase repeated after World War II to prevent a second Holocaust. Never again would the civilized world give an inch on threats of genocide against the Jews. That is, until Joe Biden adopted a dangerous policy of moral equivalence.
Several law enforcement agencies converged on the scene. The encounters became volatile at times.
Liberal college campuses, encouraged by Joe Biden's deafening silence, erupted into shocking anti-Semitic protests. College presidents and faculty were exposed as being part of the festering problem.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is dependent upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it is, if the
yes
speech
or
becomes,
no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide?
So now Iran is flush with cash, and they've got plenty of it to support their proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, their proxies and Hamas that's attacking Israel on October 7th, the Houthis that are attacking international shipping, the militias in Iraq that have launched over 100 attacks on our soldiers. All roads lead back to Iran.
Just like with Obama's failed nuclear deal, the Biden administration has been wrong about Iran from the beginning, much to the detriment of the United States and our closest allies.
President Raisi says it's up to them how they use the money.
He's wrong.
How are you going to guarantee that? Because money's fungible. So once it's released.
No, man. It's not fungible. He's just wrong. He's just flat out wrong.
Did that money go to public health infrastructure? Did it go to new schools? Did it go to new roads? It did not. It should not be a surprise to anyone that when the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism got $90 billion, they committed more acts of terrorism.
You have been showering cash on Iran from day one. And understand, the $6 billion you were asked about is the tip of the iceberg. By refusing to enforce oil sanctions, we have seen Iran's oil sales go from 300,000 barrels a day when you got into office to over 2 million barrels a day today. That's $80 billion. 90% of Hamas's funding comes from Iran in a very real sense. This administration, you and President Biden, funded the October 7th attacks by flowing $100 billion to a homicidal, genocidal regime that funded those attacks.
Donald Trump is the only president in my lifetime that left the Middle East better off than when he started his administration. Under Donald Trump, ISIS was defeated, Iran was broke, Soleimani was dead, Baghdadi was dead, Israel was defended, and our allies knew that we stood with them. And you had the Abraham Accords, literally peace breaking out in the Middle East.
President Biden and his team could not even use the phrase Abraham Accords when they came into office. Now, reminder, Abraham Accords, the first peace deals between Israel and Arab states in 26 years.
For generations, the people of the Middle East have been held back by old conflicts. These agreements prove that the nations of the region are breaking free from the failed approaches of the past.
We tried to bring peace to the region, and we didn't want to bring it militarily or even diplomatically. How we wanted to bring it was economically, because we understood the importance of economics. President Trump understands the importance of economics. So we want to bring through the Abraham Accords into the fold, the Muslim countries in the region. And we started to do that. And it was very important because that's the way we thought we would handle the Palestinian issue.
Mr. President, do you agree with Chuck Schumer that Ned Young should go?
Chuck Schumer, who stood on the Senate floor and demanded that the democratically elected leader of Israel be thrown out. That's never happened in the history of our nation. By the way, Schumer didn't call for the leader of Hamas to be thrown out, or Iran. No, only the world's only Jewish state.
Senator Schumer contacted my staff, my senior staff. He's going to make that speech, and I'm not going to elaborate on the speech. He made a good speech.
Given a choice, do you side with Israel or the radical genocidal Hamas terrorists? Today's Democrat Party chooses the latter.
The conduct of the response in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, has been over the top.
Do I believe that his health and mental ability impact his ability to do his job? Yes, and I think we are in grave danger because of the situation that he is in.
I've encouraged the Prime Minister to focus on trying to reduce the number of casualties. There is some movement, and I don't want to choose my words. There's some movement. There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas.
Under President Trump, there was peace in the Middle East due to his experience as a successful negotiator and his peace through strength foreign policy.
I said, you buy from Iran, you don't do business with the United States, and nobody bought from Iran. So Iran was broke, and Iran was ready to make a deal with us, and they would have made a deal with us, and they would have been very happy. Everybody would have been very happy. Instead, this guy comes in with a rigged election, and he never took advantage of the position we were in. And we were in such a strong position to make a great deal. They wanted to make a deal, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. And I said that you can't have a nuclear weapon. And that is going to be a very bad day when they have a nuclear weapon. And they will have one very shortly with this guy as president.
A rigged election. Polling shows that more than 1 in 3 Americans believe Joe Biden was not legitimately elected. It's hardly a surprise then that trust in the federal government is at historic lows.
Federal agencies have been turned against the very people they're supposed to serve. The Department of Justice putting out a memorandum saying, oh, we might want to go investigate parents showing up at school board meetings.
Mr. Friend, you ever been to a school board meeting?
Yes, I have.
FBI ever sent you to the parking lot of a school board meeting?
Yes, I have. You got the field office in Richmond, Virginia, putting out a memo saying if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're a potential extremist. We've seen whistleblowers come forward and tell us about these kind of things, and then they get retaliated against. We've seen the whole censorship effort where big government, big tech, big academia work against conservatives. So it has most certainly been weaponized against we the people. The best example, though, of course, is what they've done to President Trump.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump
34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree.
41 felony counts. Today, we're filing a lawsuit against Donald Trump.
Then you want to talk about the double standard. All right, let's take classified documents. That was one of the first ones that the media went in tizzy over. The Democrats went in tizzy. They're like, we got him. And then they discovered, wait a second, Joe Biden has classified documents. Not one, not two, everywhere. He's got them in his garage. He's got them by his old Corvette. He practically stuffs them in his underwear.
He sent a lot of them to Chinatown. He had them at Penn. They were all over the place. It was over 50 years. He took them when he was a senator. He took them all the time. But they let him go scot-free.
President Joe Biden willfully retained classified information, but the president will not face criminal charges. They concluded it would be difficult to get a jury to convict a, quote, sympathetic, well-meaning, elderly man with a poor memory, unquote.
When that report came out,
everybody.
Xi
Kind
Jinping,
of dark out here.
Kim Jong-un, Maduro, you go through the list of dictators, Putin, all of these guys are reading that report as well and making plans and sizing up America based on what the Department of Justice said about Biden, about him being a feeble old man with a poor memory.
So call me old-fashioned, but if you're not competent mentally enough to be held responsible for your crimes, then maybe you shouldn't have the nuclear codes.
And they said that he can't defend himself because he's incompetent. That's what they said. He's incompetent, he can't defend. And I said to myself, isn't that interesting? He can't defend himself in a trial, but he can be president of the United States. So I think that question was answered just by the fact that the special prosecutor, who was very soft on him, said he may have done a lot of things wrong, but he's incompetent. He's incompetent.
3 weeks before the 2020 election, the New York Post published shocking emails from a laptop belonging to Hunter Biden. The records contained in-depth details of alleged Biden family corruption stretching back years. Immediately, the deep state ran to Joe Biden's rescue.
More than 50 former intelligence officials signed on to a letter yesterday saying that the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's emails has, quote, all of the classic earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign.
The first thing we can never forget is that the current Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, is the one that organized 51 signers to that letter that the intelligence community professionals signed on, saying that this Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation.
And of course, remember, at the same time, the FBI is having secretive meetings with Facebook and Twitter. They knew at the time that they were having those meetings that they were in possession of that laptop, but never did tell the social platforms that the information that they were censoring, okay, that the content that they were taking down regarding the Hunter Biden laptop was actually more accurate than not.
A majority of Americans that did vote for Biden said that had they known that the Hunter Biden laptop was real, they would have never voted for Joe Biden.
A disinformation campaign authored by the deep state. Donald Trump's a Russian asset. Donald Trump's an insurrectionist, so are his followers. The 51 intel letter says Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation. All of those things were lies.
We've all seen at this point the text, the WhatsApp that was sent from Hunter Biden to a Chinese communist saying, give me millions of dollars now, or the man sitting next to me, my father, will come after you.
His dad attended the dinners. His dad was on the calls. His dad stopped by the lunches. Joe Biden was the product that Hunter Biden and his brother Jim were selling to countries like Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, China.
Doesn't this make Joe Biden a threat to democracy?
Joe Biden is a threat to democracy for two reasons. Number one, he's incompetent. And number two, what he's doing in so many different ways, receiving money from many other countries, Ukraine, China, etc., Russia. And Chris Wallace defended him during a debate. The mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with Burisma to deserve $183,000?
Let him answer. None of that is true.
Oh, really?
Totally, Mr. President.
It's
Mr. President, please.
Totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
he didn't get
$3.5 million, Jim? I said, can he defend himself? $3.5 million for doing nothing. Nobody could explain it. Then it turned out to be a big story about a year later, and a lot of people said Trump was right.
But while Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton are protected by a two-tiered system of justice, President Trump is targeted. On display is the ultimate act of election interference. Indict, convict, and jail Trump before he can get elected.
These are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning.
I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody at MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed. Oh, wait.
We have seen compelling evidence on the House Judiciary Committee that all of these efforts against President Trump are not one-offs. There is indeed coordination. There is indeed strategy to try to dislodge President Trump from his rightful place as the leader of the Republican Party and an inspirational political figure to a nation. And so the more they fail, the more they pursue President Trump and all of us through this corrupt web of lawfare.
We are calling on the air for a moment never before witnessed in American history, a former president on criminal trial.
This was all time to do exactly what it's doing, which is to break in an election year, to take Donald Trump off the campaign trail, to make him sit in court.
They see that we're in a war. That's how they view it. So if you're in a war, tactics would go that you otherwise wouldn't accept in ordinary times. Something we have not ever seen in American history. We're now seeing in the year 2024 the use of federal and state and even extrajudicial prosecutions and persecutions to eliminate political opponents.
Do each of you support Donald Trump?
I do.
Yes, for all three of you. Has this trial changed your opinion?
No, it's actually caused me to support him more.
I've talked to many people who formerly identified as a Democrat. They have changed their political persuasion to independent, and they are looking forward to voting for Trump. They have felt persecuted by the system of American injustice. People see that there's some kind of commonality between himself and maybe all the black men that have been incarcerated and the families that have been impacted.
Do you believe Joe Biden is going to attempt to steal this next election?
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way they can win. The only way they can win, and they're starting that with weaponization. They put the people from the DOJ into the DA's office and into the New York State office with Letitia James. It's called weaponization. It's called election interference. There's never been anything like it in the history of our country. It happens, but it happens with third world countries and with banana republics. It doesn't happen with our country, and now it has. And it's a very dangerous thing. It's a very bad thing.
Former President Donald Trump found guilty on all counts. What does this mean for the race for president? The reaction.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir?
It's weaponized to the extent that they can make any one of us go away.
Well, that's just it. They're not using it only at the political leadership of this country, i.e. President Trump. They're using it as against his supporters. And he's repeatedly, correctly said, they're coming after you. He's just in the way.
We have political prisoners in this country, I believe, for the very first time. And we have people that are in jail who are not a threat to their community.
A federal judge has sentenced former Trump economic advisor Peter Navarro to 4 months behind bars for defying a congressional subpoena from the House January 6th Select Committee.
When I walk in that prison today, the justice system, such as it is, will have done a crippling blow to the constitutional separation of powers and executive privilege.
In addition to Peter Navarro, former Trump chief strategist Steve Bannon sits in prison for contempt of Congress. But when it comes to Obama and Biden officials like Attorney General Merrick Garland, those held in contempt are not prosecuted, much less sent to jail. An appalling double standard.
Yeah, the irony of it all is the deep state's projection onto Donald Trump and his supporters is the height of hypocrisy. They say that if you elect Donald Trump now, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to seize the intelligence community and law enforcement community. He's going to jail and imprison his political opponents. That's what they've done to him and all of his supporters.
I am giving defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon.
While President Trump fights against politicized prosecutors, the American people fight just to stay afloat in an economy stacked against them.
Undecided voters were also asked how they think President Biden is doing on the economy.
Raise your hand if you think President Trump's policies on the economy would be better for your family. All right, so that is everybody.
You know, inflation didn't happen under Donald Trump. That was Joe Biden. Open border, illegal immigrants all through the streets. That didn't happen under Donald Trump. It happened under Joe Biden. Locking kids out of school when there was no need, children falling behind, especially poor black kids, poor Hispanic kids. That wasn't Donald Trump. That was Joe Biden.
Parents in Brooklyn outraged after the city decided to use their kids' school to house migrants.
The city's decision to relocate migrant families to the high school didn't sit well with parents and local officials who say the administration put the needs of the migrants ahead of their children.
As a Hispanic American, let's just put this in perspective. The guy was playing Despacito.
I just have one thing to say.
I know if you make Italian meatball, they're the real Italian.
All right.
But the point is that he did that because he thought it was going to be a way to target Hispanic Americans. His wife, Dr. Jill Biden, decided to refer to Hispanic Americans as diverse as breakfast tacos, which was, just frankly insulting.
The diversity of this community, as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx, as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
Things aren't looking very good for Joe Biden. Black, Hispanic, and young voters are abandoning Biden, according to the Roper Center.
So I think it was having to do with America First. I also think it has to do with the fact that I did judicial reform, which the black population has been after for many years, and Obama didn't do it, and Biden hasn't done anything. I mean, he hasn't done anything. I think he's just trying to make it through life. I funded the black colleges and universities, and nobody was going to do that. The heads of the various colleges would come once a year, they'd look for money. And I said, well, why do you keep coming back? Why don't you make a deal like long term? He said nobody would do it. I said, I'm going to do it. And I took care of them for more money than they asked for long term, because I said, you're going to need it.
All these HBCU students that you see here, I'm here to meet you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
Yes.
And when I went to the Chick-fil-A, when I went in there, a couple of the young ladies were at one of those colleges and said, we love you because you saved our college.
We took care of those colleges.
Sure did. Much better than Biden did. So I don't care what the media tells you, Mr. Trump. We support you. Okay, 4 p.m. We do 4 p.m.
Come here, let me give you a
hug.
He's a blue-collar billionaire. That is what matters. Your ability to make that connection. They had job opportunities. They, in fact, had the opportunity to buy a home. They had an opportunity to send their kids to schools that were working under a Trump administration. He was not going to have those folks be prisoners on the reservation of dysfunctional schools.
The sad irony is that the very policies that were adopted in the wake of the BLM movement, defund the police, clear the jails, and so on, are policies that have hurt black communities the most in this country. It's a sad fact. You want to know who actually wants good police in the streets? People who live in the inner city.
Definitively, right now, I couldn't tell you that if they open the polls tomorrow, I'm voting for Joe Biden.
So what changed?
Life. The inflation and the things that we're going through right now. The way these last 3 or 4 years have been, this is the worst it's ever been in my life.
He's been horrible to the black population. He's been horrible to the Hispanic population. He's been horrible to women. The fact that our country is so unsafe, we're going to end up in World War III because of this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Failure in Afghanistan, wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. After 4 years of peace under President Trump, many are asking, where is Biden's next global catastrophe?
China is, quote, trying to get ready to launch a war against Taiwan. Those are sobering words.
A blunt message delivered by China's President Xi Jinping to President Biden.
President Xi said to President Biden that he does intend to reunify Taiwan.
He doesn't respect Biden. He doesn't like Biden. He laughs at Biden. And behind his back, he laughs at a level that nobody can believe. Frankly, he can't believe that Biden is the president of our country.
China right now has the most significant, serious military buildup that we've seen since pre-World War II. They are tripling their nuclear arsenal.
And China is considering more military bases around the globe, according to the Pentagon, across Asia and Africa, in talks to build a military port on the Atlantic.
Their navy is now larger than ours. They have first strike, highly technical weapons like hypersonic missiles that we struggle to defend against. And don't take it from me, take it from Chairman Xi, the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party himself. He is telling his country to prepare for war. He's telling the world that America is on decline, and he's telling everybody, you better side with them rather than the United States.
While our enemies smell blood in the water, America's greatest adversary could be here already. Many say Biden is a puppet of radical leftists who seek to tear our country apart by destroying the things that make us the envy of the world.
I happen to think we have enemies from within that are actually worse than China. I think that some of the people that are representing our country are more dangerous than China. You know, if you have a smart president, you're going to be able to deal with China and Russia and North Korea, or you're going to be able to deal with all of it. But these horrible people in our country that I believe hate our country, I believe they're a bigger enemy. I think they're a bigger threat to our country than China. When you look at the military trying to go woke, I knocked out ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate. I dealt with our military. I dealt with generals that were real generals, not these guys that you see on television like Milley.
And it is important that we train and we understand, and I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
The U.S. military hoping the new year will bring new enlistments. That's because the Army, Navy, and Air Force all fell short of their recruitment goals this fiscal year. In fact, the U.S. is seeing the smallest active duty force since 1940. Think about that. It's a long time ago.
We didn't have a recruiting problem when President Trump was commander-in-chief. Today, you look at the military, they have enormous recruiting problems. Well, what they've done is they voted with their feet, and they're not using their feet to walk into a recruiting station.
When you have a progressive left that is teaching at the earliest age and now all the way up into our military academies, that this country is a country of racism, of colonialism, who wants to go fight and defend that? And it should be then no surprise why we have a recruiting crisis.
You know, the military is based on spirit more than anything else. You need spirit. You need people to want to serve. When I get in there, everyone's going to want to serve. We had a great military. We had tremendous respect all over the world. And I essentially, other than ISIS, didn't have to use our military.
Our political international foes have not slept on Biden's downsizing of our military, draining them of their morale, What our enemies understand is now is a time to strike.
Either you believe in merit or you believe in group quotas. You cannot have both. Either you believe in free speech or you believe in censorship. You cannot have both. Either you believe in American exceptionalism or you believe in apologizing for who we are. You cannot have both. This is a fringe far-left contingent that's used and got the Democratic Party in a stranglehold that is using every other institution to implement its agenda. They see that we're in a war.
It's a war that, whether you realize it or not, is happening everywhere you look.
When you have children entering our school system, being taught that America is a broken country, a systemically racist country, and that the color of their skin somehow dictates their ability to be successful in life, that's not what America's about.
Right now, what's happening with our children is going to go down in history as one of the worst, most dark, evil chapters. Nobody wants their children going off to school, being indoctrinated, having this gender ideology pushed at them.
But increasingly, public schools have become a repository for some of the strangest behavior. So I'm a big believer in President Trump's agenda for school choice, to shake up that system, to give people an off-ramp to normalcy.
We have administrators, staff members, counselors having private conversations with children about which bathroom they might like to use when they go to school. What name would you like us to use when we talk to your parents about you? And what pronouns and name would you like to use at school?
I was severely injured in a high school volleyball game by a transgender athlete on the opposing team. I suffered from a concussion and neck injury that to this day I'm still recovering from.
I saw the tears. I saw the tears from the 9th and 17th place finishers who missed out on being named an All-American by one place. And I can attest to the extreme discomfort in the locker room when you, from these 18 to 22-year-old girls, when you turn around and there's male eyes watching in that same room. And I can attest to the whispers and the grumbles of anger and frustration from these girls who, just like myself, had worked our entire lives to get to this meet.
It's the final in the women's 500-yard freestyle.
And in a time when you would think in 2024 that we have come so far as a country, when it comes to women and girls being able to do so many different things, to have opportunities taken away in the name of equity or inclusion, should be really alarming to the American people.
You know, there's some things in politics that you can't believe. For instance, why do I have to constantly say that I will keep men out of women's sports? I'm embarrassed to say it. Who would allow men in women's sports? But the Democrats want men to participate. It's actually dangerous and demeaning to women. But who would want that? Only people that want to destroy our country.
On Election Day, the American people have a choice. Donald Trump and Joe Biden are on the ballot. But there is widespread concern about Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline as the American people grow increasingly skeptical of his ability to discharge the duties of his office. Many are asking, who is really in control of the radical Biden agenda?
With President Trump, I always see like confident. We're going to get back to winning, make America great again. With Joe Biden, you're wondering if he's going to get across the room. Like he does a speech, you're like, I don't know if he can get through this.
CitizensUnitedMovie.com. Okay, CitizensUnitedMovie.com.
Anyway, I spent the last 14 years as a White House physician, as a physician to the president for President Bush, Obama, and Trump. I have been saying that this man is not cognitively or physically, but mainly cognitively fit to be the president of the United States, to be our commander-in-chief. I've been saying that since he was candidate Joe Biden.
And we asked then, do the candidates have the necessary physical, mental capacity? And it was about even, 41-38. Now, you ask it, 46% say that Donald Trump does, just 23% when it comes to Joe Biden. Think of one of the central themes of Biden's campaign in 2020. He said he'd be competent. He said he'd be effective. Folks said they believed that in our poll in 2020. One of the big reasons Trump lost, but now, complete, total reversal.
Those are the words of Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Our Supreme Court Justice. I cannot imagine a job that's more physically and mentally demanding than the President of the United States. I mean, you have to be on 24/7, 365. Can you hear me, President Biden? This is a historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? Joe Biden doesn't even know what's happening half the time. So you don't have to be a physician anymore to see that there's something wrong with Joe Biden, right? Everybody in this country has had a relative or a close friend at some point in their life that's had cognitive issues. He has some type of cognitive issue related to his age.
Thanks to all the members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure going to.
The fact is that this president is, in my opinion, being used. I think that there are people calling the shots for him. I don't think that he's cognitively there, and I think that it's dangerous.
Another ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy. The guys who are the kleptocracy.
He's got the shuffle when he walks. He's got the slurring of his speech.
After I signed the PAC Act into law.
He's got the stiff gait.
I better not start the questions. I'll get in trouble.
He's confused. He's got that dead stare. I mean, all of the things that we know, that we've seen our relatives and our close friends exhibit in association with one of these cognitive disorders, everyone sees that in Joe Biden.
So he has put America last. He's put everybody else first. He's put the world ahead of us. And it's basically due to his incompetence, basically due to the fact that maybe he doesn't love our country. I don't know. I don't know that he knows he's even alive, to be honest with you. I don't think it's him. I think it's other people that work for him around that beautiful, resolute desk. Joe Biden, I don't believe he knows what he's doing. I really don't.
On the campaign trail, Joe Biden's appearances seem oddly staged. Nothing is real or genuine. Biden routinely looks like a prop, and a bad one at that. Often forgetting not to read the quiet part out loud.
4 more years. 4
more years. 4 more years. 4 more years.
Are you ready to choose freedom over democracy? Because that's America. Are you ready to choose freedom over democracy for democracy?
If you took the 10 worst presidents ever, added them up, take the 10 worst, probably could go 15 or 20, they would not have done the damage to this country as Joe Biden has done.
Well, I'm not going to tell you the American dream is alive and well, because it's not. It's alive and hanging on for life support. But I think it can be alive and well again.
And they really mess with the wrong people. Once you've triggered the moms out there, you're at next level. You know, you got different levels of mom. You got mom when she's mad, and then you have mom when she's pissed off.
I worked for 6 presidents starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president took actions to secure the border. But when President Trump came on the campaign and said the things he was going to do on our border, I knew if we get him elected, we have the most secure border of our lifetime because he had the right plan.
I'm in Texas. We're at the southern border. We have incredible people. I'm surrounded by Border Patrol and ICE and law enforcement, and they have done an incredible job. But we all want to see a wall or a barrier because it's going to make their job a lot easier.
What will you do on day one of your administration to stop the carnage at the border?
We're going to beef it up. We're going to go back to the policies. You know, somebody thought he looked good in a bathing suit and he was going to go to the beach, and he did. He went to the beach a lot. If he would have just left my border policies, nobody did a job like I did on the border. We had it shut down. If Biden would have gone to the beach, taken his chair that he can hardly move, which only weighs about 6 ounces, it's meant for people to, easily carry. And if he would have just sat in that chair and not done anything, he would have had a great border today.
It's like we drafted a quarterback, and then you realize that the 2 games he can't play, but you're stuck with him for the rest of the season. That's what it's been like in America. We drafted the wrong guy, and he can't play, and everybody knows it. So we have an opportunity in free agency just to go get the guy we want.
This is a sea of people, thousands and thousands of people hoping to get a chance to see President Donald Trump.
He's doing this for one reason and one reason alone, because we are on a rescue mission.
We saved our country once, and together we will save our country again.
USA! 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 This is a once-in-a-century opportunity we have to compare here were 4 years of Trump versus 4 years of Biden. And I don't care whether you're black or white or Muslim or Christian or Hindu or whatever. Do the math.
Trump versus Biden, who are you going to vote for?
Trump.
And why?
I'll let you guess.
Trump. I'm gonna be honest, Trump, because I feel like he did do a lot for us. I feel like Biden did more for like the immigrants.
On day one of my new administration, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history.
Working men and women look at Donald Trump and they understand he's fighting for them to have a job. And they look at Joe Biden and the Democrats and they realize they don't give a damn.
We got your back. The auto workers are going to support this guy. Because I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to save our country and to save our Constitution.
He believes that the human condition isn't a spectator sport. You can't sit on the sidelines. Human dignity isn't a grant from the government. It's a gift from God.
We are Cuban immigrants. We came here legally. The Trump supporters, they are the most wonderful people in the world.
175,000 people requested tickets to get inside this rally.
This is a big crowd. We set an all-time record. You know what we're going to be doing, right? We're going to be saving America. Our country is under siege.
And that's why Donald Trump is essential, because he's not going to BS with you. And quite frankly, that's what the country needs. We need somebody who can do the job.
From the very first day that we take back the White House, we're going to restore peace through strength. We're going to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of our country. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
I gotta check that out. Yeah, you'll have to look at it. It's pretty much.
Woo! Trump, 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 Trump. USA, USA, USA. Thank you, Lauren. Great movie.
Let's make America great
Awesome.
again. Thank you, Lauren.
Woo!
It's a great movie to remind us why we're all here. I hope that y'all will come to the next one. Thank you so much for enduring the long day and all the heat and everything like that.
Lauren, when's the next one?
September 22nd. So
Just like the
same
J.
time, same
When is the
thing.
next one?
Tell all your friends, all your family, we want to keep the momentum going. It's just grassroots, spreading it one person at a time, word of mouth. We really got to fight this time for Trump. Get the
First
word
time
out.
all
So,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. Thank y'all for coming. It means the world to me.
Thank you.
So I hope y'all had a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for this awesome rally, Lauren.
Think about, we appreciate you, girls.
You're my hero.
USA, free J6.
Sorry, I forgot your name again.
I don't.
Jake.
Did I meet you earlier? Yeah.
This is my dad, Don. This is Jay Jones from Texarkana. A flag wave rally over the overpass.
Do you know where to pull in?
Yes, well, we have them again coming up, leading up to the election.
I saw that truck go right out there.
They're all that solid. I've got a factory from the Bowie County area. Jay.
Okay, guys, we're going
This
to
is Jay
sign
Jones
off.
from Bowie County.
Bowie County. Did I give you a card earlier?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
These are some pretty cool patriots
I
here.
do flag waves, convoys, and rallies.
Yeah.
So the 22nd, I'm here. The 24th of August, I'm at Broken Arrow.
We'll have a huge one at Canton First Monday. Have you ever been to Canton First Monday?
I've been there, but it wasn't on First Monday.
First Monday, there's
Hey,
probably going to be...
get a little closer, and you're on a live
Okay,
stream
because
on
it's kind of
YouTube.
dark.
Okay. Canton First Monday, we're going to have 2 rallies this year. It's going to be the Saturday of First Monday in October and November.
Okay.
We line the overpass at 19 and I-20. That's the
Okay.
main corridor for all these people from all over the state coming into Canton. There'll be a mile of cars lined up on the feeder streets every direction.
Awesome.
And we cover the overpass, and it is a hoot.
Right. Are you
And
guys
we'll
going to
be
have any
there
flyers?
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We'll be getting the information out.
Okay, and then
Okay.
Jay, you know how to get in touch with them to
You
get
got
the
my
flyers?
email on that card.
Okay.
Jay Jones, Overseas 192.
Okay.
And you email
Yes.
me, and I'll make sure that flyer gets put up on
Yes,
Cooper's
and we can
live stream,
post
on her
it,
live
and-
stream.
yes.
Okay.
And it's silly for him, the mod in here, she can post your flyer, and all I need
That's
is
going
the
to be
flyer.
First Monday Canton.
First
Y'all
Monday
keep
Canton.
that.
And what we like is all these city dwellers coming out of Dallas, and they see us up on that bridge, and they can't believe
yeah,
it.
we love
You
it.
get a lot of
We
honks
love
and
it.
waves,
We love
don't
it.
you? Y'all get a lot of honks and waves,
Oh,
don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I do I-30 at the 190 mile marker. I get tons of honks and waves. And
Does.
she
lots.
live streamed me there.
Yeah,
Anne Lake,
and we
Texas,
joined
on
them
her
one
live stream.
weekend. It's really good down there, too.
We got a
People
lot to learn.
are hungry. They're
Oh, yeah.
waking up. They want to know what's going on.
We're looking
They
for
are.
people.
Thank
Got a
you all
great
for
man
what you're
right here.
doing.
Thank you.
My man from Cherokee County. Great man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all
Thank
for being here. Thank you for your support. Trump 2024.
God bless you.
God bless you
Thank
too, ma'am.
Thank you. Let me say goodnight to Lauren.
It seemed like it took forever to get here.
Sorry, y'all had such a long
And here's
drive.
Miss Lauren. She's,
Hey.
you have to kind of get close because it's really dark.
Oh,
But
okay.
she's the one who put it on. I mean, it was awesome.
It was awesome. Thank you so much. It was hot, but hopefully next month it'll be a little bit cooler. Hopefully it'll be bigger and better and cooler.
It was great. Yeah.
Thank you so
If
much.
It wasn't so hot, it would
Yes.
be. Thank you. Thank you,
Oh,
Lauren.
thank
Bye,
you.
girls.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Jay and them are getting ready to load. We've got to get all this loaded up. I want to tell you thank you. God bless you guys. Yes, I will tell Lauren. Thank you. Y'all are great. And it was a great day. Thank you for helping make it even greater. And here's Jay Jones. Say goodnight.
Thank you all for being in chat. Thank you
And
all for
here's
supporting
Joe.
and loving our
Work
country.
smarter, not harder. So sure, if you want to do
Say
that, that's
goodnight.
cool. Good night.
Good night, all. God bless you.
Y'all
See
know
y'all
Joe.
in chat tomorrow night.
Yep.
Be there,
Yes,
be square.
tomorrow night. Good night, guys. I love you all. Joe would say more, but he's really not feeling well yet.
Yeah, let me